This is not a challenge meant to push you. It is not a test you have to pass. And it is not another loud promise of instant transformation. This is a quiet, steady journey designed to meet you exactly where you are. Over the next 30 days, you are not being asked to become someone new. You are being invited to reconnect with who you already are, beneath the noise, the comparisons, and the self-doubt that may have followed you for years. Confidence in its truest form is not about being fearless or flawless. It is about trust in yourself, your ability to adapt, to learn, to stand again after setbacks. Each chapter in this audiobook offers one small, intentional practice. Nothing overwhelming, nothing performative, just simple actions and reflections that, when done consistently, begin to change how you see yourself and how you move through the world. You will notice that confidence here is built quietly. No pressure to prove, no need to rush. Progress will happen in subtle ways, through awareness, through honesty, through self-respect. You may find some days easier than others. That is normal. Confidence is not a straight line. It grows in layers. Some days will feel light and affirming. Others may surface discomfort or resistance. Stay with it. Even showing up imperfectly counts. Think of this audiobook as a daily conversation with yourself, one that is patient, grounded, and encouraging. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply learning to stand more firmly in your own presence. Take these chapters at your own pace. Listen with openness. And most importantly, allow yourself to be human throughout this process. Day 1. Acknowledge what you love about yourself. Today is not about fixing yourself. It is about noticing yourself. Confidence does not begin with achievement. It begins with recognition. And for many people, recognition is the hardest part. Not because there is nothing good to see, but because they have trained themselves to look away. You may be very familiar with your flaws. You may be quick to list what you lack, where you fall short, what you should have done differently by now. That voice has likely been rehearsed for years. But today, you are not here to argue with it or silence it. You are simply choosing not to let it speak first. Today, you acknowledge what you love about yourself. This does not mean you need to feel proud or confident right away. It does not mean exaggerating or pretending. It means being honest in a new direction. Start gently. Ask yourself, what is something about me that I genuinely appreciate? Not what others praise. Not what looks impressive. Something that feels true to you. It could be your persistence, that quiet way you keep going even when no one notices. It could be your sensitivity, how deeply you feel and care, even when it makes things harder. It could be your sense of humor, your patience, your curiosity, your ability to survive difficult seasons. If your mind goes blank, that's okay. Stay with the question. Confidence often grows in the pause before the answer. You are not required to list many things. One is enough. This practice is not about quantity. It is about permission. Notice what happens when you name that quality. You may feel uncomfortable. You may feel a reflex to downplay it. You may hear a voice saying, that doesn't count, or other people do that better. Let those thoughts pass without engaging. They are habits, not truths. For today, you are not comparing. You are recognizing. You might choose to write this down. You might say it quietly to yourself. You might simply hold it in your awareness for a moment longer than usual. The form does not matter. The act does. This is important. Acknowledging what you love about yourself is not arrogance. It is accuracy. It is seeing yourself more completely instead of selectively. You are not denying your struggles by doing this. You are balancing the picture. Confidence grows when your self-image becomes more honest, not more flattering. And honesty includes your strengths. As you move through your day, notice how this small recognition changes your posture inside. You may walk a little differently, speak a little more clearly, make decisions with slightly less hesitation. These shifts are subtle, but they are real. If nothing feels different, that is okay too. Seeds do not announce when they are planted. Before this day ends, return to that one thing you acknowledged. Read it again or recall it again. Let's sit without judgment. You are not trying to feel confident. You are building familiarity with self-respect. Confidence is not built by force. It is built by repetition, by choosing again and again to see yourself fairly. Today, you took the first step, not outward, inward. Day 2, name your future goals. Confidence grows when your life has direction, not a perfect plan, not certainty, just direction. Today is about giving your future a shape, something your mind can move toward instead of drifting around. When goals remain unspoken, they stay vague and intimidating. When you name them, they become approachable. They stop being shadows and start becoming landmarks. This is not about pressure or deadlines. You are not being asked to figure out your entire life. You are being asked to acknowledge where you want to go. Begin by asking yourself a simple question. What do I want more of in my life? Not what you think you should want, not what others expect from you. What you want more of, it could be stability, freedom, peace, creativity, growth, health, confidence itself. Let your answer be honest, even if it feels unrealistic or unfinished. Goals are not contracts. They are expressions of desire, and desire, when respected, builds belief. Once you identify what you want more of, allow yourself to be slightly more specific. If you want peace, what might that look like? Fewer arguments, a calmer routine, more time alone. If you want growth, where do you feel drawn? Learning something new, improving a skill, stepping into responsibility. You are not committing yet. You are clarifying. Clarity is powerful because it gives your mind something to organize around. When you know what matters to you, decisions become easier. Doubt loses some of its grip. You stop scattering your energy in every direction. Notice how confidence quietly appears here, not as bravado, but as alignment. You may notice resistance. Thoughts like, "What's the point?" or "I've failed before." Those thoughts come from past experiences, not future truth. You don't need to argue with them. Just don't let them decide for you today. Today is about naming, not proving. Choose one goal that feels meaningful but not overwhelming. Something that, if it moved forward even slightly, would make you feel more grounded in yourself. It does not have to be dramatic. Small goals are often the most powerful because they are believable. For example, I want to feel more confident speaking up. I want to take better care of my body. I want to create something that feels like mine. I want to become more emotionally steady. Once you name it, sit with it. Notice how it feels in your body. Does it feel heavy, exciting, scary, calm? There's no wrong response. Emotions are information, not instructions. Confidence is built when you allow yourself to want something without immediately shutting it down. If it helps, write your goal down in one sentence. Keep it simple. This is not a motivational slogan. It is a quiet truth between you and yourself. Now, here's the most important part. Remind yourself that wanting something does not mean you are behind. It means you are alive and paying attention. Many people lose confidence not because they fail, but because they stop listening to themselves. Today, you reverse that pattern. As you go through the rest of your day, keep this goal in the background of your awareness. You don't need to act on it yet. Just notice moments that relate to it. Thoughts, habits, reactions. Awareness itself is progress. Before the day ends, return to your goal once more. Read it. Say it. Acknowledge that you were honest with yourself today. That honesty is a form of self-respect. Confidence grows when your present actions are connected to a future you believe in, even if that belief is still fragile. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to know where you're facing. Day 3. See yourself as you are. Today is about meeting yourself without editing. So much of confidence is lost in avoidance, not because you dislike who you are, but because you rarely allow yourself to truly see yourself. You stay busy. You stay distracted. You look outward more than inward. And slowly, without realizing it, you become unfamiliar with your own presence. Today invites you back. This practice is simple, but not always easy. You see yourself as you are without commentary, without judgment, without comparison. For many people, the act of looking at themselves, really looking, brings up discomfort. You might notice the urge to criticize, to point out flaws, to recall moments where you felt embarrassed or inadequate. That response is learned. It is not instinctive. And today, you are not here to follow it. If you choose to take a selfie today, understand this clearly. This is not about appearance. It is about acknowledgement. When you look at your reflection or your image, you are not searching for approval. You are practicing presence. You are saying, "This is me, right now, as I am." Notice what comes up. Notice the first thought. Often it is not kind. That does not mean it is true. It simply means it is familiar. Instead of engaging with that voice, shift your attention. Look at your eyes. Look at the expression you carry. There is a history there. There is resilience there. There is someone who has lived, felt, endured, and continued. You do not need to like everything you see. Acceptance is not admiration. Acceptance is neutrality with compassion. Confidence does not come from convincing yourself you look perfect. It comes from removing the condition that you must. If a selfie feels like too much today, that's okay. You can do this practice in other ways. Stand in front of a mirror. Sit quietly and notice how you inhabit your body. Pay attention to your breath, your posture, the way you take up space. Ask yourself, can I allow myself to exist without fixing anything for this moment? That question alone is powerful. Many people spend years waiting to feel confident after they change, after they lose weight, succeed, heal, or prove themselves. But confidence begins when you stop postponing self-respect. Seeing yourself as you are is an act of grounding. It brings you out of imagination, out of regret and anticipation, and into reality. And reality is where growth actually happens. As you move through today, try to carry the sense of presence with you. Notice when you shrink yourself unconsciously. Notice when you avoid eye contact, rush through moments, or dismiss your own reflection. Gently bring yourself back. You are not here to perform. You are here to inhabit your life. Later in the day, return to this practice briefly. Look at yourself again, even for a few seconds. Notice if anything has shifted, not in how you look, but in how you relate to yourself. Confidence often begins as tolerance, then familiarity, then trust, and trust is built by showing up honestly. There is nothing you need to add to be worthy of your own attention. There is nothing you need to remove to be allowed presence. You are already here, and today you chose to see that. Day 4, show up for yourself. Today is about a quiet signal, not to the world, to yourself. Confidence often grows from the way you treat yourself when no one is watching, not during moments of praise or visibility, but in private, ordinary moments where your choices reveal how much you believe you matter. Today, you show up for yourself. This does not require an audience. It does not require an event. It requires intention. When you take time to get dressed thoughtfully, even if you're staying home, you send yourself a message. The message is not about appearance. It is about self-respect. It says, I am worth effort, even when no one else sees it. Many people wait for a reason to care for themselves, a meeting, a celebration, an external expectation. But confidence strengthens when care becomes internal rather than conditional. Today, you choose yourself without needing permission. You might put on clothes that make you feel comfortable and grounded. You might groom yourself with more attention than usual. You might simply straighten your posture and move with deliberateness. The specifics don't matter. The intention does. Notice how different this feels from performing for others. This is not about impressing. It is about alignment. There may be resistance. Thoughts like, what's the point? Or, it doesn't matter today. Those thoughts often appear when self-worth has been postponed for a long time. Let them pass. You are not trying to argue. You are trying to act. Confidence is built through behavior before belief. When you show up for yourself, Your nervous system registers stability. Your mind begins to associate you with reliability. Over time, this creates trust, and trust is the foundation of confidence. As you move through your day, notice how you carry yourself after making this choice. There may be a subtle shift. You may feel more present, more deliberate, less scattered. These changes are small, but they accumulate. Also notice how you speak to yourself today. When you look in the mirror, when you sit down to work, when you rest. See if you can maintain the same tone of respect you would offer someone you care about. Showing up for yourself is not about perfection. It is about consistency. Some days will be simple. Some days will feel heavy. What matters is that you do not disappear from your own life. Later today, pause and acknowledge what you did, not with praise, with recognition. Say, I showed up for myself today. Let that be enough. Many people look for confidence in big moments, bold decisions, public wins, visible success. But confidence is built quietly through daily acts of self-alignment. When you take yourself seriously, your mind follows. You do not need to wait until you feel confident to behave this way. Behavior comes first. Feeling follows later. And today, you practice a new behavior. You showed yourself that you are worth care, even in private, even without validation. That matters more than you realize. Day 5. Define your joy. Today is about listening inward. Confidence weakens when you lose touch with what genuinely brings you joy. Not pleasure, not distraction. Joy, the quiet, sustaining kind that leaves you feeling more like yourself afterward, not less. Over time, many people stop asking what makes them happy. They become efficient, responsible, accommodating. They do what is necessary, what is expected, what is practical, and slowly, joy becomes something they experience accidentally rather than intentionally. Today, you bring it back into focus. Begin by noticing how often you override your own preferences, how often you say yes when you feel no, how often you minimize what excites you because it seems unimportant, unrealistic, or indulgent. None of that makes you weak. It makes you human. But confidence grows when you start honoring your internal signals instead of dismissing them. Ask yourself this gently. What actually makes me feel good in a lasting way? Not what looks good on the outside. Not what you're supposed to enjoy. What leaves you feeling calmer, clearer, more energized, or more connected afterward? It might be something simple. Quiet mornings, walking alone, writing, music, learning, creating, being in nature, deep conversations, solving problems, helping others, rest. Joy is often subtle. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up as relief, sometimes as focus, sometimes as a sense of rightness. Pay attention to how your body responds when you think of certain activities or moments. Does your chest feel lighter? Does your breath deepen? Does your mind slow down? These are signs. Your body often recognizes joy before your thoughts allow it. You don't need to justify what you enjoy. Joy does not require permission. Confidence strengthens when your life contains things that are meaningful to you, not because they impress anyone, but because they nourish you. When joy is present, you stop chasing validation as intensely. You feel less empty, less reactive, more rooted. Today, choose one small thing that brings you joy and allow yourself to experience it without multitasking, without guilt, without rushing. Let it be complete. Let it be enough. Notice if there's discomfort around this. Some people feel uneasy when they slow down or prioritize enjoyment. That unease often comes from the belief that worth must be earned through struggle. Today challenges that belief quietly. You are allowed to enjoy your life while you build it. Later today, reflect briefly. How often do I make space for joy? Not to criticize yourself, just to observe. Awareness changes patterns over time. Defining your joy is an act of self-knowledge. And self-knowledge builds confidence because you stop outsourcing your sense of fulfillment to others' expectations. When you know what lights you up, you begin to protect it. When you protect it, you begin to respect yourself. When you respect yourself, confidence follows naturally. Joy is not a reward for success. It is fuel for resilience. And today, you chose to notice it. Day 6. Face one small fear. Today is not about bravery, as people usually define it. It is about movement. Confidence does not disappear because fear exists. It disappears when fear becomes a decision maker. Over time, small acts of avoidance quietly teach your mind that you cannot handle discomfort. And slowly, your world shrinks, not dramatically, but subtly. Today, you reverse that pattern. You face one small fear, not a lifelong fear, not something overwhelming. Just one thing you've been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable, awkward, or uncertain, something that makes your body tense slightly when you think about it. It might be making a phone call you've been putting off, speaking up when you usually stay silent, trying something new without knowing if you'll be good at it, setting a small boundary, being seen in a minor way. The fear itself does not matter. The scale does not matter. What matters is that you choose action over avoidance. Before you act, pause and notice what fear feels like in your body. The tightness, the hesitation, the urge to delay. Fear often feels urgent, but it is rarely dangerous. Your nervous system is reacting to uncertainty, not threat. Remind yourself of this. I am allowed to feel fear and move anyway. This is where confidence begins to form. When you take action despite discomfort, your mind learns something crucial. I can handle this. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but adequately. And adequacy is enough. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness often comes after action, not before. As you face this small fear, keep your expectations realistic. The goal is not success. The goal is completion. Whether it goes smoothly or awkwardly, you still win because you showed up. Notice how you feel immediately afterward. There may be relief. There may be lingering tension. There may even be disappointment. All of that is okay. The real change happens beneath the surface. Each time you face a fear, you weaken the belief that fear controls you. You strengthen the belief that you have choice. Later today, reflect briefly on what you did, not with judgment, with acknowledgement. Say, I did something uncomfortable today. Let that statement stand without qualifiers. Confidence is not built by eliminating fear. It is built by building a different relationship with it. You will still feel hesitation in the future. That does not mean you're regressing. It means you're human. But now, you are learning that hesitation does not have to stop you. Small acts of courage compound. Over time, they reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids. You start seeing yourself as someone who engages. And that shift changes everything. Today, you didn't wait for fear to disappear. You move with it. That is confidence in its earliest, most honest form. Day 7. Practice self-reward. Today is about reinforcement. Confidence grows when your mind learns that effort leads to care, not criticism. For many people, the opposite has been true for a long time. You push yourself, endure discomfort, meet responsibilities, and then move on without acknowledgement. Or worse, you focus only on what wasn't done well. Over time, this trains your mind to associate effort with pressure instead of satisfaction. Today, you change that pattern. Self-reward is not indulgence. It is feedback. It tells your nervous system, when I show up, I am supported. And support builds trust. Begin by recognizing something you've done recently, something that required effort, honesty, or courage. It does not need to be impressive. It needs to be real. Maybe you followed through on something difficult. Maybe you showed up when you wanted to withdraw. Maybe you stayed consistent with this challenge. Acknowledge it. Notice how quickly your mind may minimize it. Thoughts like, that's normal, or it wasn't a big deal, might appear. That reflex is familiar, but today you don't follow it. You pause instead. Now choose a small reward, not as compensation, as recognition. It could be time to rest without guilt, something you enjoy eating or drinking, A quiet moment with music, a walk, a small purchase you've been delaying. The reward itself doesn't matter. The intention does. As you give yourself this reward, stay present with it. Don't rush. Don't distract yourself. Let your body register the experience of being cared for by you. This matters because confidence is not just a mental state. It is a felt sense of safety and support. When your mind learns that effort leads to kindness, it becomes more willing to engage, try, and persist. Self-reward does not make you complacent. It makes you sustainable. Later today, reflect briefly on how it felt to acknowledge yourself. Did it feel awkward, uncomfortable, relieving? All responses are valid. What matters is that you practiced. Many people wait for external validation to feel worthy. But confidence strengthens when validation becomes internal. When you don't need permission to appreciate yourself. You are not lowering your standards by doing this. You are raising your self-respect. Confidence grows when your inner environment becomes supportive instead of punitive. Today, you taught your mind that progress is noticed, that effort is valued, that you are not invisible to yourself. This is how trust is built. Quietly, consistently. Day 8. See yourself through others' eyes. Today is about widening the lens. When confidence is low, your self-image becomes narrow. You see yourself through a single, often critical perspective. You remember mistakes more clearly than strengths. You replay moments of discomfort while forgetting moments of impact. Over time, this creates a distorted image, one where your value feels smaller than it truly is. Today invites you to borrow another view, not to depend on others for validation, but to balance the picture you've been carrying. Begin by thinking of someone who knows you reasonably well, not someone who idealizes you, not someone who constantly criticizes you, just someone who has seen you show up in ordinary ways. Now ask yourself, how might this person describe me if I were in the room? At first, your mind may resist. It may say, they're just being polite, or they don't really know me. Those responses come from habit, not evidence. Gently set them aside. Instead, recall specific moments, times when someone thanked you, trusted you, asked for your help, enjoyed your presence. These are data points, not compliments. Confidence grows when you learn to accept information that contradicts your self-doubt. If it helps, remember an actual comment someone once made, something kind or appreciative that stuck with you, even briefly. You don't need to exaggerate it. Just let it exist without dismissing it. This practice is not about inflating your ego. It is about correcting bias. Your internal narrative has been shaped by repetition. And if that repetition is leaning negative, it makes sense that confidence feels fragile. Today, you introduce new input. Notice how it feels to imagine yourself through a kinder, more neutral lens. You may feel discomfort, vulnerability, even skepticism. That's okay. Receiving positive reflection can feel unfamiliar when you're used to self-critique. You don't need to fully believe it yet. You just need to allow it to coexist with your current view. Later today, pay attention to interactions. Notice how people respond to you, not in a hypervigilant way, just with curiosity. Notice tone, body language, engagement. Often, others see steadiness, warmth, or competence where you see uncertainty. This doesn't mean others define your worth. It means your perspective is not the only valid one. Confidence strengthens when your self-concept becomes more flexible, less rigid, less harsh. Before the day ends, write or mentally note one positive quality that someone else might see in you. Just one. Let it sit without debate. You are not required to prove it. You're not required to feel proud. You are simply expanding awareness. Confidence is not built by convincing yourself you're perfect. It's built by realizing you're more than your worst thoughts. Today, you allowed another perspective in. Day 9. Claim what makes you unique. Today is about ownership. For a long time, you may have learned to blend in, to soften parts of yourself that felt different, to observe what was accepted and adjust accordingly. This is a natural response to wanting safety and belonging. But over time, adaptation can quietly turn into self-erasure. Confidence grows when you stop hiding what makes you distinct. Uniqueness is not something you create. It is something you uncover when you stop filtering yourself through other people's expectations. Begin by noticing the traits, interests, or ways of thinking that feel most you. Not necessarily the things that get praise, but the things that feel natural when no one is watching. It could be the way your mind connects ideas, the topics you're endlessly curious about, your sense of humor, your emotional depth, your way of solving problems. Often, what makes you unique is also what you were once told was too much, too quiet, too intense, or too different. Those labels can leave a mark, but they are not definitions. They are opinions shaped by context. Today, you choose to see those traits without judgment. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been downplaying to fit in? This question is not meant to create regret. It's meant to create awareness. Awareness brings choice. Notice any fear that arises around being seen. Fear of rejection. Fear of misunderstanding. Fear of standing out. These fears are valid. They exist because connection matters to you. But confidence develops when you learn that belonging does not require self-abandonment. You don't need to announce your uniqueness today. You don't need to display it publicly. You simply need to acknowledge it internally. Claiming your uniqueness can be as quiet as allowing yourself to like what you like without apology. Thinking the way you think without self-correction. Speaking in your natural rhythm instead of editing yourself constantly. Later today, notice moments where you instinctively shrink or censor yourself. Pause. Ask, what would it be like to stay as I am right now? You don't have to act differently every time. Just noticing the impulses progress. Confidence grows when you stop measuring yourself against a standard that was never meant for you. There is no single way to be confident. There is only alignment. Before the day ends, name one quality that makes you different. And instead of seeing it as a liability, consider how it might be a strength in the right context. You don't need to reframe it positively. Just see it clearly. You are not here to blend in perfectly. You are here to exist honestly. And today, you took one step toward that. Day 10. Recognize your contribution. Today is about acknowledgement, not of who you could be, but of what you already give. Many people struggle with confidence not because they lack value, but because they overlook their contribution. They move through life assuming what they do is insignificant, replaceable, or expected. Over time, this belief quietly erodes self-worth. Today, you slow down and notice what you bring. Contribution does not have to be grand or visible. It does not require recognition or applause. It exists in small, consistent ways, in effort, presence, care, responsibility. Begin by asking yourself, where do I show up? Not where you excel. Where you show up, it might be in your family, your work, your friendships, your daily responsibilities, the ways you listen, the way you follow through, the way you support, solve, or stabilize. These contributions often go unnoticed because they feel normal to you. But normal does not mean meaningless. Confidence grows when you understand that your presence has impact. Think of one area in your life where things would be different if you weren't there. Not worse in a dramatic sense, just different. Maybe someone would have to adjust. Maybe a responsibility would shift. Maybe a certain kind of support would be missing. That difference matters. Notice any discomfort that arises as you reflect on this. Many people are uncomfortable acknowledging their contribution because they confuse it with ego. But recognition is not ego. It is awareness. You are allowed to see the role you play. Later today, pay attention to moments where you help contribute or engage, especially in small ways. Notice how often you offer effort without expectation. This is not something to exploit. It is something to appreciate. Before the day ends, acknowledge one contribution you made today. It could be as simple as showing up when it would have been easier not to. Let that acknowledgement be quiet and sincere. Confidence is built when you stop assuming you are invisible. Today, you recognize your impact. Day 11, notice your kindness. Today is about seeing something you may have overlooked. Kindness often becomes invisible to the person offering it. You give, you adjust, you help, you soften situations, and then you move on, assuming it's nothing special. Over time, this habit can make you feel empty or undervalued. Not because you give too much, but because you never pause to recognize what you're giving. Today, you notice your kindness. Kindness is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is not self-sacrifice without awareness. At its best, kindness is strength expressed with restraint. It requires presence. It requires choice. Begin by reflecting on the ways you are kind without making a show of it, the patience you offer, the understanding you extend, the moments where you choose compassion over convenience. You might minimize these actions because they feel natural to you, but natural does not mean trivial. It means integrated. Confidence grows when you see your values reflected in your behavior. Think of a recent moment, small or ordinary, where you acted with care. Maybe you listened when someone needed to talk. Maybe you offered help without being asked. Maybe you chose not to react harshly when you could have. Notice the impulse to dismiss it. Thoughts like, anyone would do that, or it doesn't matter, may arise. Let them pass. Today is not about comparison. It is about acknowledgement. Later today, stay alert to moments of kindness as they happen. Notice when you make space for someone else, when you show consideration, when you act in alignment with your values, even when it costs you time or energy. You are not doing this to praise yourself. You are doing it to see yourself clearly. Confidence is not about dominance or control. It is about integrity, knowing that your actions reflect who you want to be. Before the day ends, name one way you were kind today. Just one. Let it sit without judgment or inflation. You do not need to become more kind. You are already practicing it. You are simply learning to notice. Kindness is a contribution. Kindness is a strength. Kindness is part of who you are. And today, you allowed yourself to see it. Day 12, commit to personal change. Today is about intention, not change driven by pressure, not change driven by comparison. Change chosen deliberately from a place of self-respect. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that you can choose growth without rejecting who you are. Many people avoid change because it feels like an admission of inadequacy. Others chase change relentlessly because they feel they're never enough. Today sits in the middle of those extremes. You commit to personal change without self-criticism. Begin by noticing an area of your life that feels slightly misaligned. Not broken, not urgent, just out of sync with who you are becoming. It might be a habit that drains you, a pattern of thinking that holds you back, a routine that no longer serves you, a boundary you've been avoiding. This is not about fixing everything. It is about choosing one direction. Ask yourself, what small change would support the person I want to grow into? Small is important here. Grand commitments often collapse under their own weight. Sustainable confidence is built through realistic promises kept consistently. Once you identify this change, define it clearly, but gently. Avoid language that sounds like punishment. Instead of I must stop, try I choose to begin or I choose to reduce. This shift in tone matters. Your mind responds differently to choice than to force. Notice any fear that arises. Fear of failure, fear of inconsistency, fear of disappointing yourself. These fears often appear when past attempts at change felt harsh or unsustainable. Today is different. Today is not about perfection. It is about alignment. Commitment does not mean rigidity. It means intention with flexibility. Later today, take one small action that aligns with this change. Not because you're motivated, but because you decided. Let the action be simple enough that resistance has little room to grow. As you act, notice how it feels to move intentionally. You may feel grounded. You may feel uncertain. Both are acceptable. What matters is that you showed up consciously. Before the day ends, acknowledge your commitment. Say, I chose growth today. That statement is not dependent on outcomes. It is about choice. Confidence grows when you see yourself as someone who chooses direction rather than reacts to circumstances. Today, you did not wait to be forced. You did not wait to feel ready. You chose change from a place of respect. That is a powerful foundation. Day 13, create emotional anchors. Today is about stability. Confidence is not the absence of emotional shifts. It is the ability to return to center when emotions move. Many people feel confident only when circumstances are calm and lost when emotions rise. Emotional anchors help change that. An emotional anchor is something that reliably grounds you, something you can return to when your mind feels scattered, overwhelmed, or reactive. Today, you intentionally create one. Music is a powerful anchor because it bypasses logic and speaks directly to the nervous system. A single song can slow your breathing, soften your thoughts, or bring you back into your body within minutes. Begin by choosing a piece of music that makes you feel steady. Not hyped, not sad, steady. The kind of music that feels like a place you can rest. As you listen today, give it your full attention. Don't multitask. Don't scroll. Let the sound fill your awareness. Notice how your body responds. Notice your breath. Notice how your thoughts slow or shift. This is not escapism. It is regulation. Confidence grows when you learn how to calm yourself instead of relying on external reassurance. Later today, reflect on moments when your emotions tend to rise. Stress, self-doubt, frustration, uncertainty. Imagine yourself using this music as a pause point, a way to interrupt spirals before they take over. Before the day ends, listen to your chosen music again, even briefly. Let your body associate this sound with safety and grounding. Over time, this anchor becomes familiar, reliable. It teaches your system that you have tools, that you are not helpless in emotional waves. Confidence is built when you know you can return to yourself. Today, you created that return point. Day 14, keep a promise to yourself. Today is about trust. Not trust in circumstances. Not trust in motivation. Trust in yourself. Confidence weakens when you repeatedly make promises to yourself that you don't keep, even small ones. Over time, this creates doubt, not in your ability, but in your reliability. You start hesitating before committing, because part of you expects disappointment. Today, you begin repairing that trust. Start by choosing one small promise. Something simple, something realistic, something you can complete today without negotiating with yourself for hours. It might be finishing a task you've been avoiding, taking a short walk, stopping work at a reasonable time, journaling for 5 minutes, following through on a plan you already made. The size does not matter. The completion does. Make the promise clearly in your mind, not as a hope, not as a vague intention, as a decision. Notice any internal resistance. Thoughts like, what if I don't feel like it? Or, I'll do it later, may arise. This is familiar territory. Today, you don't argue. You simply proceed. When the time comes, do the thing. Even if you do it imperfectly. Even if you feel distracted. Even if it feels ordinary. Completion is the point. As soon as you finish, pause. Acknowledge it. Say, I did what I said I would do. Let that moment register. This is how self-trust is rebuilt, not through grand commitments, but through consistency. Later today, notice how it feels to have followed through. There may be relief. There may be neutrality. There may be a quiet sense of stability. All are valid. What matters is the signal you send yourself. Before the day ends, resist the urge to immediately add more promises. Today is about one. Enough is enough. Confidence grows when your word to yourself becomes dependable. Today, you kept it. Day 15. Confront your fears on paper. Today is about clarity. Fear becomes powerful when it stays vague, when it lives only in your head, It grows, shifts, exaggerates. It feeds on uncertainty and repetition. But when fear is brought into the open, named, written, examined, it loses much of its authority. Today, you confront your fears on paper. This is not about reliving anxiety. It is about translating it. Begin by choosing one fear that has been quietly influencing your decisions. Not the biggest one in your life, just one that has been shaping your behavior, causing hesitation, avoidance, or self-doubt. Now write it down. As you write, be honest and specific. Avoid general statements like, "I'm afraid of failing." Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid will happen? Name the outcome, the embarrassment, the loss, the rejection, the uncertainty. Writing forces fear to become concrete, and concrete things can be examined. Once the fear is on paper, read it slowly. Notice how different it feels to see it outside your mind. Fear often sounds more dramatic internally. On paper, it begins to look like a thought rather than a prophecy. Next, ask yourself a grounding question. If this fear happened, what would I do? You are not predicting disaster. You are identifying capability. List possible responses, support you could seek, skills you could use, time you would need. This step is important because confidence grows when you recognize your ability to respond, not your ability to avoid. Then ask, how likely is this fear realistically? Not emotionally, realistically. Fear tends to speak in absolutes. Reality rarely does. You are not dismissing your fear. You are contextualizing it. As you finish writing, notice any shift in your body. The tightness may lessen. The fear may still be present. But it is now manageable. Before the day ends, close a paper or notebook intentionally. This signals completion. You are not carrying this fear endlessly. You gave it attention. That is enough for today. Confidence grows when fear is met with awareness instead of avoidance. Today, you face it calmly. You named it clearly. You proved it does not own you. Day 16. Appreciate your body. Today is about respect, not admiration, not comparison. Respect. Your body has been with you through every experience of your life. It has carried stress, joy, fear, effort, and recovery. And yet, for many people, the relationship with their body is dominated by criticism or neglect. Confidence includes a physical self, not because appearance defines worth, but because connection creates stability. Today, you appreciate your body for what it does, not how it looks. Begin by noticing how you usually think about your body. The automatic judgments, the comparisons, the impatience. These habits often form early and repeat quietly. Today, you interrupt them not with praise, but with acknowledgement. Bring your attention to something your body allows you to do. Breathe, walk, sit, hold, speak, rest, recover. These functions are easy to overlook because they are constant. Choose one part of your body and focus on its role rather than its appearance. Your legs for carrying you, your hands for creating and helping, your eyes for perceiving the world, your lungs for sustaining you. As you do this, notice resistance. You may feel awkward or disconnected. That is okay. Appreciation is a practice, not a feeling that appears on command. Later today, treat your body with one intentional act of care, not as a reward, as maintenance. It could be stretching, drinking water, resting, adjusting your posture, eating with awareness, moving gently. This act does not need to be dramatic. It needs to be deliberate. Confidence grows when your body becomes an ally rather than an object to control. Before the day ends, pause and acknowledge your body silently. Say, "You've carried me." Let that be enough. You do not need to love your body. You need to respect it. And today you did. Day 17. Reconnect with the present. Today is about returning, not to productivity, not to plans, to the moment you are actually in. Confidence weakens when your mind lives everywhere except where your body is. When you are constantly anticipating, replaying, evaluating, or escaping, you lose contact with yourself. And when you lose contact, self-trust fades. Today, you reconnect with the present. This practice is simple, but can feel unfamiliar. You are asked to walk, without your phone, without audio, without distraction. Just you, your body, and the environment around you. At first, your mind may resist. It may reach for stimulation. It may feel restless or impatient. This is not a failure. It is a sign of how rarely you allow yourself to be fully here. Begin your walk by noticing your steps, the rhythm, the pressure of the ground, the way your body naturally moves when it is not being monitored or optimized. Bring your attention to your senses, the temperature of the air, the sounds around you, the light, the movement. You are not labeling or analyzing. You are receiving. Notice how often your thoughts drift to the past, to the future, to tasks, worries, or imagined conversations. When this happens, gently bring your attention back to your body, back to the step you are taking right now. Presence is not the absence of thought. It is the willingness to return. As you continue, you may notice a subtle shift. Your breathing may deepen. Your shoulders may soften. Your mind may slow slightly. These are signs that your nervous system is settling. Confidence grows when your system feels regulated. Being present reminds you that you are capable of grounding yourself without external input, that you do not need constant stimulation to feel okay, that you can inhabit your own life. Later today, notice how this practice affects your mental clarity. You may feel calmer. You may feel more alert, or you may simply feel less scattered. All outcomes are valid. Before the day ends, pause again just for a moment and check in with your body. Ask, where am I right now? Not geographically. Internally, confidence is not built only through action. It is built through awareness. Today, you chose to return to yourself, to the present, to what is real, and that is where strength lives. Day 18. Do something meaningful for you. Today is about intention, not productivity, not obligation. Meaning, confidence weakens when your days are filled only with what you have to do. Responsibilities are important, but when life becomes purely functional, you begin to feel disconnected from yourself. Over time, that disconnection can turn into numbness, restlessness, or quiet dissatisfaction. Today, you intentionally do something meaningful for you. Meaning does not have to be profound or life-changing. It simply needs to feel personally significant, something that reflects who you are, what you value, or what you want to preserve in your life. Begin by asking yourself, what would feel meaningful to me today? Not impressive, not productive, meaningful. It might be creating something without an outcome in mind, spending time on a skill you care about, being alone with your thoughts, connecting deeply with someone, revisiting something that once mattered to you. Meaning often lives in places you postponed. As you choose your activity, notice any guilt that arises. Thoughts like, I don't have time, or this isn't important right now, may appear. These thoughts often come from a long habit of prioritizing survival over fulfillment. Today, you don't argue with them. You simply make space anyway. When you engage in your chosen activity, stay present. Let it be complete. Avoid rushing. Avoid documenting. Avoid turning it into something useful. Let it exist for its own sake. Notice how it feels to invest energy in something that reflects you. You may feel calmer, more alive, more grounded, or simply more like yourself. These feelings are subtle, but they matter. Later today, reflect briefly on what this experience gave you, not in terms of outcome, but in terms of alignment. Did it remind you of something you value? Did it reconnect you to a part of yourself you've been neglecting? Confidence grows when your actions reflect your identity, not just your obligations. Before the day ends, acknowledge this choice. Say, I did something meaningful for myself today. Let that statement stand without justification. You are allowed to have meaning in your life now, not later, not after everything is resolved. Today, You chose depth over autopilot. Day 19. Follow what excites you. Today is about energy, not forced motivation, not discipline through pressure. Energy that arises naturally when you pay attention to what draws you in. Confidence fades when you ignore your own excitement for too long. When curiosity is dismissed as impractical. When interest is postponed indefinitely. Over time, you may stop noticing what excites you at all. And without that signal, direction becomes harder to feel. Today, you listen for it again. Excitement does not always feel loud. Sometimes it shows up as quiet curiosity, a sense of pull, a thought that keeps returning without effort. These signals are easy to miss if you're always rushing or managing expectations. Begin by asking yourself, what's been catching my attention lately? Not what you should focus on. What naturally draws your interest? It could be a topic you keep reading about, an idea you revisit often, a skill you admire, a direction you feel curious about but haven't explored. Excitement is not a command. It is information. Notice any impulse to dismiss it. Thoughts like, that's unrealistic, or I'm too late, or that's not for someone like me. These thoughts are protective, not prophetic. They exist to keep you safe from disappointment. But safety alone does not build confidence. Engagement does. Today, you don't need to commit. You only need to follow the thread a little. Choose one small action that aligns with this excitement. Something low pressure. Something exploratory. Reading, watching, trying, sketching, researching, experimenting. Let curiosity lead without demanding results. As you do this, notice how your energy shifts. You may feel more alert, more focused, more alive. This is not coincidence. When your actions align with your interests, your system responds positively. Confidence grows when you trust your internal signals instead of ignoring them. Later today, reflect briefly. How did it feel to follow my interest instead of overriding it? The answer may surprise you. Before the day ends, acknowledge that excitement is not frivolous. It is a guide. It points toward engagement, growth, and meaning. You do not need to turn excitement into achievement. You only need to respect it. Today, you listened. Day 20. Create inner stillness. Today is about quiet. Not silence around you, but stillness within you. Confidence weakens when your inner world is constantly noisy. When thoughts overlap, emotions compete for attention, and your nervous system rarely gets a chance to settle. In that state, even small challenges can feel overwhelming, not because they're too big, but because you're already overloaded. Today, you intentionally create inner stillness. This does not require mastery. It does not require belief. It does not require long sessions or perfect focus. It requires willingness. Stillness is not something you force. It is something you allow. Begin by setting aside a short period of time. 5 to 10 minutes is enough. Choose a space where you can sit comfortably without interruption. Let this moment be simple and contained. If prayer feels natural to you, allow yourself to pray, not for outcomes, not for solutions, but for grounding, for steadiness, for clarity. Let the words be honest and unpolished. Prayer at its core is a form of presence. If meditation feels more aligned, focus on your breath, not to control it, just to observe it. Notice the inhale, notice the exhale. Let your attention rest there lightly. Your mind will wander. This is not a mistake. Each time you notice it wandering and gently return to your breath or your words, you are practicing stillness. The return is a practice. Notice how your body responds as you stay with this. The shoulders may drop. The jaw may soften. The breath may slow. These are signals that your system is settling. Confidence grows when your nervous system learns that it can come out of constant alertness. As thoughts arise, worries, plans, doubts, do not engage with them. Let them pass like background noise. You are not here to solve anything right now. You are here to rest in awareness. Later today, notice how the stillness carries forward. You may respond more slowly, listen more fully, feel less reactive. These changes are subtle, but they accumulate. Before the day ends, return to this practice briefly, even for a minute. Let your body remember the feeling of being unhurried. Inner stillness does not make you passive. It makes you grounded. And grounded people move through the world with quiet confidence. Today, you gave yourself that ground. Day 21. Speak kindly to yourself. Today is about language. Not what you say out loud, but what you say inside repeatedly, often without noticing. Your internal dialogue shapes how safe, capable, and worthy you feel. And for many people, that dialogue has become harsh. Not because they are cruel, but because they believe criticism is necessary for improvement. Over time, this belief erodes confidence instead of strengthening it. Today, you change the tone. Begin by noticing how you speak to yourself when something goes wrong, when you hesitate, when you make a mistake, when you fall short of your expectations. The words may be quick, subtle, familiar. Notice them without judgment. Now ask yourself a grounding question. Would I speak this way to someone I care about? If the answer is no, that matters. Speaking kindly to yourself does not mean ignoring responsibility or avoiding growth. It means choosing a tone that supports learning rather than shutting it down. Kindness creates psychological safety, and safety allows confidence to grow. Choose one phrase you can return to today. Something simple, something believable, something steady. For example, I'm learning. This is difficult, and I'm still here. I can handle this moment. Progress, not perfection. This is not about forcing positivity. It is about offering stability. As you move through your day, notice moments where self-criticism appears. Pause. Replace the tone, not the content, with kindness. You can still acknowledge the mistake. You can still reflect. You simply do it without cruelty. Notice how your body responds when the tone changes. Often, tension softens. Breath deepens. The urge to give up lessens. Later today, intentionally speak kindly to yourself once, out loud or silently, without waiting for a mistake. Let kindness be proactive, not just corrective. Before the day ends, reflect briefly on how this practice affected your mood or energy. You may feel calmer. You may feel more patient. Or you may simply feel less exhausted. Confidence is not built by pressure alone. It is built by encouragement that allows you to keep going. Today, you chose a different voice, and that voice matters. Day 22, invest in yourself. Today is about permission, not permission from others, not permission from circumstances, permission from yourself. Confidence weakens when you consistently invest in everyone and everything else, while postponing investment in your own growth, comfort, or well-being. Over time, this sends a quiet message. I come last. Even if unspoken, your mind absorbs it. Today, you reverse that message. Investing in yourself does not have to be expensive or dramatic. It does not require justification. It is not about consumption for status or distraction. It is about choosing something small and intentional that supports you. Begin by noticing where you hesitate to spend time, money, or energy on yourself. Notice the automatic thoughts. It's not necessary. I'll do it later. I should be more responsible. These thoughts often come from survival patterns, not from truth. Ask yourself, what small investment would support me right now? It could be a book that feeds your thinking, a tool that makes your daily life easier, a class or resource that builds a skill, a small comfort you've been denying yourself, time set aside just for learning or rest. Choose something that feels supportive, not indulgent. As you make this investment, whether it's time, attention, or money, notice any guilt that arises. Guilt often appears when you challenge long-standing beliefs about worth. You don't need to argue with it. Let it pass. Confidence grows when your actions align with the belief that you are worth care and development. Later today, notice how this choice affects your mindset. You may feel more grounded, more motivated, more settled, or simply more respected by yourself. These shifts are subtle but cumulative. Before the day ends, acknowledge this decision. Say, I invested in myself today. Let that statement land without defense. You are not taking away from anyone else by doing this. You are strengthening the foundation you stand on, and a stronger foundation supports everything else. Day 23. Learn to breathe with intention. Today is about returning to something you do all the time, but rarely notice. Your breath. Breathing is automatic, which is why its power is often overlooked. Yet the way you breathe directly affects your nervous system, your emotions, and your sense of control. When breathing is shallow and rushed, your body stays in a low-level state of alert. When breathing becomes intentional, your system begins to settle. Confidence grows when your body feels regulated. Today, you learn to breathe with intention. Begin by finding a quiet moment. Just a few minutes is enough. Sit or stand in a comfortable position. You are not preparing for anything. You are simply allowing space. Place your attention on your breath without trying to change at first. Notice where you feel it most clearly. In your chest, your belly, your nose. Let observation come before effort. Now, gently begin to slow the breath. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Pause briefly. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. If this rhythm feels uncomfortable, adjust it. The goal is ease, not precision. As you breathe, notice your body, the shoulders, the jaw, the stomach. Let each exhale release a small amount of tension. You do not need to force relaxation. Just allow space. Your mind will wander. Thoughts will arise. This is expected. Each time you notice, gently return your focus to the breath. This return is not failure. It is the practice. Intentional breathing sends a clear signal to your nervous system. I am safe enough to slow down. Later today, use this breathing intentionally during a moment of stress, hesitation, or self-doubt. Before reacting, before deciding, before speaking. Take 2 slow breaths. Notice the shift. This is not about avoiding emotion. It is about creating space between stimulus and response. Confidence grows in that space. Before the day ends, practice intentional breathing once more. Let your body associate your breath with calm and presence. You always carry this tool with you. It requires no equipment, no permission. Today, you learn how to use it consciously. Day 24. Eat with awareness. Today is about reconnection, not with rules. Not with discipline, with your body. Eating is one of the most frequent interactions you have with yourself, and yet it is often rushed, distracted, or emotionally charged. Over time, this disconnection can weaken your sense of control and self-trust. Today, you eat with awareness. This does not require changing what you eat. It does not require restriction or planning. It requires attention. Begin by choosing one meal or snack today to eat without distractions. No phone, no screen, no multitasking. Just you and the act of eating. Before you begin, pause for a moment. Notice the food in front of you, the colors, the smell, the texture. This pause is not ceremonial. It is grounding. As you take the first bite, slow down. Notice the taste, the temperature, the sensation of chewing. Notice how your body responds. Your mind may drift. That's okay. Each time you notice, gently return your attention to the experience. Eating with awareness brings you back into your body. It reminds you that nourishment is not just functional, it is relational. How you eat reflects how you care for yourself. Later today, notice how your body signals hunger and fullness. Not control them, just to observe. Awareness precedes trust. Before the day ends, reflect briefly on how this practice felt. You may feel calmer, more satisfied, or simply more present. Confidence grows when you listen to your body instead of overriding it. Today, you practice listening. Day 25. Learn from your mistakes. Today is about reframing. Mistakes are unavoidable, but how you interpret them determines whether they weaken or strengthen your confidence. When mistakes are treated as evidence of failure, they create shame. When they are treated as information, they create growth. Today, you learn from your mistakes without self-punishment. Begin by thinking of a recent mistake or setback, not the most painful one, just something that didn't go as planned, something that still lingers in your mind. Notice your initial reaction, the story you tell yourself about what it means. Many people default to conclusions like, I'm bad at this, or I always mess things up. These are emotional interpretations, not facts. Today, you slow that process down. Ask yourself, what actually happened? Describe it simply without judgment, just the events. This step matters because it separates the situation from your identity. Next, ask, what did this experience teach me? Not what it took from you, what it offered. Maybe it showed you a gap in preparation. Maybe it revealed a boundary you need to set. Maybe it clarified what doesn't work for you. Lessons are often quiet and practical. Notice any resistance to this step. Sometimes it feels easier to stay disappointed than to extract learning, but learning gives you agency. Then ask, what can I do differently next time? This is not about blame. It is about adjustment. Confidence grows when you see mistakes as feedback loops rather than verdicts. Later today, notice how this reframing affects your emotional state. Shame may lessen. Curiosity may increase. You may feel more capable, not less. Before the day ends, remind yourself, making mistakes does not disqualify me. It qualifies you as someone who is engaged. Confidence is not built by never failing. It is built by learning without losing self-respect. Today, you practice that skill. Day 26. Strengthen your body. Today is about resilience, not performance, not intensity. Resilience. Your body and mind are not separate systems. When you move your body, you send signals of capability and strength to your mind. You remind yourself, physically, that you can apply effort, tolerate discomfort, and recover. This feedback loop quietly builds confidence. Today, you strengthen your body. This does not require a workout plan or athletic ability. It requires movement with intention. Begin by choosing a form of movement that feels accessible today. Walking, stretching, light exercise, yoga, bodyweight movements, or anything that engages your muscles without overwhelming you. As you move, notice your breath. Notice the sensation of effort, the warmth, the stretch. You are not rushing. You are not competing. You are listening. Strengthening your body is not about appearance. It is about capacity. When you feel mild discomfort, pause and notice your response. Do you immediately want to stop? Do you tense up? Do you push too hard? Today, you practice balance. Enough effort to challenge, enough care to sustain. Later today, notice how movement affects your mood. You may feel clearer, more grounded, slightly more confident. These effects are not dramatic, but they are real. Before the day ends, acknowledge your effort. Say, I moved my body today. Let that be sufficient. Confidence grows when your body feels capable. Today, you reinforce that capability. Day 27. Create a personal mantra. Today is about focus. Your mind absorbs repetition. What you hear again and again, internally or externally, becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar begins to feel true. This is why negative self-talk can shape confidence so deeply. It repeats quietly, consistently, until it sounds like fact. Today, you intentionally choose a different repetition. You create a personal mantra. A mantra is not a slogan. It is not meant to hype you up or deny reality. It is a steady phrase you return to when your thoughts become scattered, critical, or overwhelming. It anchors you. It reminds you who you are becoming. Begin by noticing the themes of your self-doubt. When you feel unsure, what do you tend to question? Your ability? Your worth? Your timing? Your strength? Your mantra does not argue with these doubts. It grounds you beneath them. Ask yourself, what do I need to hear when I feel unsteady? Not what sounds impressive. What feels stabilizing? It might be, I can take this one step at a time. I am allowed to learn as I go. I don't need to rush my growth. I can handle what's in front of me. I choose steadiness over fear. Keep it short, simple, honest, something you can remember easily. As you choose your mantra, notice how your body responds. A good mantra does not create tension. It creates space. It doesn't force confidence. It supports it. Once you've chosen it, repeat it slowly to yourself, not mechanically, with attention. Let the words settle. Notice your breath as you repeat it. This repetition is not about belief. It is about familiarity. Later today, return to your mantra during a moment of hesitation or stress. Say it once or twice. Notice how it interrupts the spiral. Notice how it gives you a small pause to choose your response. That pause is powerful. Before the day ends, write your mantra down or say it one final time with intention. You are not locking yourself into it forever. You are simply giving your mind a steadier place to land. Confidence grows when your inner voice becomes supportive instead of chaotic. Today, you chose your words carefully. And words, repeated gently, shape belief. Day 28. Express appreciation. Today is about connection, not approval, not dependency. Connection built through acknowledgement. Confidence does not grow in isolation. It grows through healthy relationships, especially the kind where appreciation flows without obligation or performance. When appreciation is withheld, relationships become transactional. When it is expressed, connection deepens. Today, you express appreciation. Begin by thinking of one person who has positively affected your life, not necessarily in a dramatic way. It could be someone who shows up consistently, someone who listens, someone whose presence makes things easier or lighter. Often, we assume people know they are appreciated, but appreciation that is not expressed remains invisible. Ask yourself, what do I genuinely appreciate about this person? Not what they do for you, who they are, their patience, their honesty, their reliability, their energy, their kindness. Now choose a way to express it. A message, a note, a sentence spoken aloud. Keep it simple. Keep it sincere. Avoid over-explaining. As you do this, notice any discomfort. Vulnerability often shows up when appreciation is real. That discomfort is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of authenticity. Confidence grows when you allow yourself to be seen in your sincerity. Later today, notice how this act affects you. You may feel warmer, more grounded, more connected. Even if the response is minimal, the act itself matters. Before the day ends, reflect briefly. How did it feel to express appreciation without expecting anything in return? Connection reinforces confidence because it reminds you that you are part of something larger than your internal doubts. Today, you strengthen a bond. Day 29. Write yourself a love letter. Today is about compassion. Not the kind you offer easily to others, but the kind you may have withheld from yourself for a long time. Confidence struggles when self-criticism becomes the dominant voice, when mistakes are remembered more clearly than effort, when your past is used as evidence against you instead of proof of survival. Today invites you to respond to yourself differently. Today, you write yourself a love letter. This may feel uncomfortable, even unnecessary. That discomfort is important. It reveals how unfamiliar self-compassion might be for you. Not because you don't deserve it, but because you were taught to be hard on yourself to survive. Begin by imagining that you are writing to someone you deeply care about, someone who's been trying, stumbling, learning, and continuing despite difficulty. Now realize that person is you. Start the letter simply. You do not need poetic language. You do not need perfection. You need honesty. Acknowledge what you've been through, the challenges you faced, the moments where you felt lost, uncertain, or overwhelmed. Do not dramatize. Do not minimize. Just recognize. Then acknowledge your effort, not your outcomes, your effort, the times you kept going, the choices you made to survive. the ways you adapted when things didn't go as planned. This matters more than you think. Speak to yourself with the tone you wish you had received during your hardest moments. Gentle, understanding, steady. If criticism arises as you write, pause. Return to compassion. This letter is not a performance. It is a repair. Later today, read the letter back to yourself. Notice how it feels to hear kindness directed inward. You may feel emotional. You may feel resistant. You may feel calm. All reactions are valid. Before the day ends, keep this letter somewhere accessible. It is not for display. It is for return. Confidence grows when self-compassion replaces self-punishment. Today, you offered yourself what you may have needed for a long time. Day 30, honor your future self. Today is about continuity. Not who you were, not only who you are, but who you are becoming. Confidence reaches maturity when you stop seeing your life as disconnected moments and start seeing it as a relationship across time. Your past self carried you here. Your present self is shaping choices. And your future self is quietly waiting for the foundation you build today. Today, you honor that future self. Begin by imagining yourself 1 year from now. Not idealized, not perfect, just more experienced, a little steadier, a little clearer. Someone who has lived through more days, made more decisions, learned more lessons. Picture how they move through the world, how they respond under pressure, how they speak to themselves. This future version of you is not wiser by accident. They are wiser because of what you choose now. Ask yourself gently, what will my future self thank me for doing today? Not something dramatic, something supportive. It might be protecting your energy, keeping a boundary, starting a habit, letting go of something harmful, showing yourself compassion instead of pressure. Future confidence is built through present respect. Today's practice is a time capsule, not something you bury physically, but something you intentionally create. Take a moment to write or think through a message to your future self. Keep it grounded, honest, human. Acknowledge where you are right now, the effort you've made, the uncertainty you're still carrying, the progress you've begun, even if it feels incomplete. Then express your intention, not a demand, an intention. I'm choosing consistency. I'm choosing honesty. I'm choosing growth without self-hate. These are commitments rooted in respect, not pressure. As you do this, notice how your sense of time shifts. You are no longer trapped in the present moment. You are connected forward. That connection builds hope, not as fantasy, but as continuity. Later today, take one small action that honors this future self. Something aligned with who you want to become, not who you've been trying to escape. This action does not need to feel inspiring. It needs to feel aligned. Before the day ends, pause and reflect on this entire journey. 30 days of quiet, intentional choices. No hype, no forcing, just steady attention. Confidence does not arrive suddenly. It settles in gradually, through awareness, self-trust, and self-respect. You are not finished. You are not complete. You are connected. And that connection between who you are now and who you are becoming is confidence at its deepest level. You honored it today. As you reach the end of this 30-day journey, take a moment to pause, not to evaluate yourself, not to measure how much you changed, just to notice where you are now. Confidence was never meant to be something you force into existence. It was always something you uncover, slowly, quietly, by learning to stay with yourself through effort, uncertainty, growth, and rest. Over these days, you didn't become someone else. You practiced becoming more honest, more present, more respectful toward who you already are. You showed up in small ways. You listened inward. You chose awareness over avoidance. That matters. Carry these practices forward, not as rules, but as options. Return to them when you feel disconnected. Revisit them when doubt grows loud. Confidence is not something you finish building. It's something you maintain through relationship with yourself. You are allowed to move forward at your own pace. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to trust the person you are becoming. Thank you for taking this time for yourself. And remember, quiet consistency changes everything.